Hey there, Dan Martell here, serial entrepreneur, investor, and creator of SaaS Academy. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to make big decisions, even if you have no prior experience in making those decisions. And be sure to stay to the end. We're going to tell you how to get access to my precision scorecard, because the key is measuring so that when you make these decisions, you know if it had an impact. Let's get into it. So recently I was working with one of my JFDI clients, which are 10 million plus in ARR. And one of the questions they asked me was, Dan, look, I love having you as a coach, but when I've got to make decisions with my team and I've never done them before, I've never been in that area of the business, how do I make them fast? How do I educate myself? How do I move fast? So I want to share with you guys how to think through that. Even in my personal journey, there's been some huge decisions like, should I move to San Francisco? Should I bring on a business partner? Should I raise venture capital for my startups? Should I pivot my business or stay the course? These are the kind of decisions that have the ability to shape your destiny. And if you've never done them before, it can feel scary. You're literally, you can stay up at night, not sleep, anxiety. I mean, I've even had clients break out in like hives because of the pressure of making these decisions. So what I want to share with you guys are the specific steps that I use whenever I get into a new area and I've got to make decisions fast, because if you don't, the backlash of not making a decision could be even worse than making the wrong decision. So let's get into it. Step one, define the problem. So Charles Keterin has a quote that says, a problem well-defined is a problem half solved, or something like that. And I honestly thought it was Einstein that said it. But the way I think about it is, too often people come to me for advice, for coaching, and they're like, hey, Dan, how do I run Facebook ads? And the real challenge is that the problem they're trying to solve is not how to be good at Facebook, is that they're trying to increase traffic to their website, or they're trying to increase lead generation for their demo request funnel, or whatever it is. So for me, it's being really intentional, really clear around the specific problem you're trying to solve, and then figure out the optionality for doing that. Because if you can't get clear around what it is specifically that's stopping you, and that is the problem, then all the other feedback you can get from people will be around the wrong thing. Right? Because I can tell them, hey, here's how you run Facebook ads. Here's the 4 different stages of your funnel. Here's the way you set up your remarketing tables. I can tell them all of that, but that won't serve them if the underlying problem is actually not more traffic, but a better offer or a better funnel. So number one is we need to define the problem. Number 2, research the solution space. So no matter what problem you're trying to solve, there are people that are way smarter than us that have written books, talked about it on podcasts, written blog posts around the specific solutions to that problem. So what I like to do is deep dive. You might only decide to say, look, I'm going to block an hour of my time and I'm going to get into it. I'm going to research the top books, buy those on my Kindle. I'm going to subscribe to some podcasts, search some titles, maybe just get right into the episodes. I'm going to research some blog posts, research. My tip for all of you guys, if you don't know this, I like to use Google Images. So Google Images, what you can do is find frameworks. I'm a very visual thinker and I like to draw. You know, if anybody's ever been in one of my trainings, I love to design models to help people think clearly about the problem. And Google Images will show you the blog posts that have images to help give you some patterns to understand the specific problem. So to me, I want to really understand and research the solution space for all my different options around that specific problem. Number 3, connect with mentors. Now, if you don't have a mentor, you're still unclear what a mentor is, I'm going to link up a bunch of videos I've done in the past around identifying the mentor, connecting with the mentor, 5 questions you shouldn't ask your mentor, because I think it's really important. But the way I define a mentor is somebody who's already been to the place you're going and can kind of look back and give you guidance into the steps, okay? So assuming you have the mentor, I know when I was deciding if I should move to San Francisco or not from Canada, it was a really tough decision for me. And I turned to one of my mentors, Ken Nickerson, because I wanted to make sure that I didn't make the wrong decision. I didn't turn my back on the city that I grew up in, that I had a lot of pride in being Canadian, but I also knew that my dreams and my aspirations were very much pulling me towards, Silicon Valley to see if all my crazy ideas could actually like work among some of the best entrepreneurs in the world in the software space. And it was Ken's advice where he said to me, he said, look, the biggest thing you could do for your province, for Canada, is to go there, learn as much as you can, and teach everybody back home. And I feel super privileged to have had people like Ken and others mentor me along the way so that I was able to do that. Specifically when I started my company, Clarity, because not only did I learn and I took a bunch of stuff and I taught it back to everybody I knew, my entrepreneurial friends, but I even got investors to wire money in my company. I raised $1.6 million in funding for Clarity. And the coolest part is it was investors in San Francisco that wired the money to a Canadian bank. And that was a really proud moment for me. So all that to say is connect with mentors because they're going to be able to give you insights into the future to help you prioritize your decision making and give it context, because sometimes we just don't know like how big of a decision is it and what are the factors I should be considering around that specific problem. Number 4, verify with peers. So here's one of the frustrating parts if you have a mentor, you have a bunch of advisors, is sometimes you will get conflicting advice, right? So the suggestion I give my coaching clients is that you want to get as much insights, as much data, as much information around the decision you're making, and then try to have a peer group, okay, of people that you trust that are on the same journey. Maybe they're 1 or 2 years ahead of you that you can use to essentially calibrate your decision. Because here's the reality. Your mentors might have done what you want to do 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, right? Your advisors may have never done this. They've never been the founder. They're just really great experts in whatever field. So what you want to do is find people that are on that same journey. So for example, in the sales space, in my life, I have a guy named Keith. He's one of my best buds. And what we do often is when it comes to anything sales specific, the process, the funnel, the conversation, etc., I'm always asking him like, hey man, I'm thinking of changing the offer, changing it to a two-step close, or I'm thinking of adding this funnel in front of it to kind of pre-frame the rest of the conversation. Whatever it is, having somebody, I can go do my research, I can talk to my coach, I can talk to my mentors, but having somebody that is a peer to be able to give it a final check, to me, is one of the most powerful things. So make sure you verify with your peers. Number 5, decide and adjust, okay? Here's the deal, JFDI. It's my license plate, it's on my wall in my garage, it's in my house, it's in my office, JFDI. You can Google it to figure out what it stands for. But here's what I've discovered is for many of you, the biggest challenge you're having is making no decision. It's actually not the making the wrong decision, it's you haven't made the decision. Your team is waiting on you. They're waiting to be led, and what you haven't done is decide and move forward. Here's the coolest part. There is very few decisions that you could make that you can't unwind if in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, you realize you made the wrong decision. But not making that decision over 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months will just bring the morale of your team down, will slow you down from being crystal clear on strategy and execution, and will be bigger as an issue, will cause a bigger impact on your business than if you would have just decided, move forward, and learn from that feedback loop. So quick recap, how to make big decisions with no prior experience. Number 1, you want to define the problem clearly. 2, you want to research the solution space and the opportunity. 3, you want to connect with mentors who've been there before. 4, verify the feedback and strategy and decision with peers. And number 5, decision and adjust. Commit JFDI style. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I want to share with you guys an exclusive resource called the Precision Scorecard. Now, if you're not currently measuring the activity, the results that your team is producing in your company, you need to create a scorecard. And if you click the link below to download my Precision Scorecard, I will teach you how I do it in all of my companies. It's very different than most. For example, one of the things that we do is we measure weekly and we set a projection and figure out what our actuals are on a monthly basis. So we know within the month, the first week, the second week, are we trending to goal, and they stack up to the quarter, to the year, so that we know we're going to hit our numbers. Because in the software space, in SaaS, subscription, if you don't hit your number this month for new customers, it is really hard to catch up in the second month and third month, and you get way off your projections. So you can click the link below to download my specific approach to scorecard called the Precision Scorecard. And if you like this video, I would ask you to subscribe to my channel, smash that like button. If there's anybody that you care about that you think this could serve, feel free to share it with them directly. I appreciate you guys being here. And as per usual, I want to challenge you to live a bigger life and a bigger business. And I'll see you next Monday. Scorecard. Get the scorecard.